31 years ago this week, a shot was fired in Mississippi, assassinating civil rights activist Medgar Evers. His widow, Myrlie Evers, vowed that night she would not rest until her husband's murder was placed behind bars. In the 3 decades since, Evers has raised 3 children, completed college, and served as a Los Angeles public official managing a billion-dollar budget. On January 5, 1994, Byron De La Beckwith was convicted of Medgar Evers' death and sentenced to life in prison. We are pleased to have Myrlie Evers join us now to talk about not only her own life since the assassination of her husband, but a new HBO film, which will talk about the bringing to trial of Byron De La Beckwith. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's nice to have you here. Tell me about you and in terms of what happened to you after this, and with so much of your history there in Mississippi, you leave Mississippi and go to California, and as I said, have a distinguished career there. I left out a lot of things that are to your credit, including time with ARCO and other places.
Yes.
Why California? Why leave Mississippi with so much of what had shaped you there?
It was important to leave Mississippi. The memories were too strong in that house. I did not want to live any other place in the state. But if we go back to that night that Medgar was assassinated, I think of all of the blood that was on the carport. The bullet that entered his body, went through a couple of walls in our home, left a large dent in the refrigerator and fell over to the counter, plus all of the good times, the good memories. Our children were having great difficulty adjusting to their father's death. One child had difficulty eating and retaining the food. Another would not talk. The youngest child just kind of stared, and it was too much for me. I moved to California because Medgar had said, if we ever leave Mississippi, which I doubt we will, we would go to California. And at that point in my life, I did everything that I thought he would have wanted me to do or approved of. So I knew I had to complete a college education in order to support myself and my children. I embarked upon a search to find a good college, and California was a target state.
There was a consensus back in Mississippi that Byron De La Beckwith had done it.
Yes.
You knew pretty soon afterwards that he was the person, even testimony on some people's part, that he was bragging about it.
Oh, of course. He was very, very braggadocious about it. He relished being on television cameras. We have to remember, too, that he ran for lieutenant governor at the time that the prosecutor of the first trial ran for governor. They were not necessarily a ticket, but they were there together. He received a hero's welcome, and it was also during the time when one would expect him to receive a hero's welcome. That was very, very difficult to deal with. When I was on the witness stand testifying, the governor, Ross Barnett, walked in the courtroom, paused as he looked at me, turned on his heels, went over to Beckwith, shook his hand, slapped him on the back, and sat down with him. It sent a clear message to the jurors and others that this was a hero, this was a man that should not be touched. He should be glorified. And I knew from the evidence that had come forward initially, and particularly with the fingerprint on the rifle and the wound over his eye where the scope had hit him, and other evidence that this man had done it. And then he added to that by bragging about it without specifically saying that he had pulled the trigger.
After 2 unsuccessful trials, why did you continue to believe that he would be brought to justice?
I wasn't sure whether he would be brought to justice after 2 trials, but I knew I could not give up. I could not stop in my search for justice in this case. I loved Medgar dearly. I respected so much what he had done in his very short life. Mississippi needed to change. I simply pursued by asking over the years when I would go back home, which was every year, sometimes 2 or 3 times, what have you heard? I need some information. Maybe something can be done. Everyone except my children and my present husband said to me, you're making a mistake. You're living in the past.
Let it go.
Let it go. I could not turn it loose. I was obsessed with it. And the last 5 years has been, the last 5 years have been very, very difficult in terms of, one, persuading the district attorney that this case should go forward, hoping to find information that had been lost, and of course when we reached the point where there was nothing else that they said they, meaning the district attorneys, could do without the transcript, I told them, keep working, because I have the transcript, and I personally delivered that.
You had kept the transcript yourself?
Oh, yes, yes, a 3-volume one.
Yeah. And also there was the gun.
There was the gun.
You had access to because?
No, I really did not have access to the gun. The gun was located in the home of one of the officials whose father-in-law had been a judge, and it mysteriously appeared. I have still not been satisfied as to the whereabouts of that gun and when it...
Why did it mysteriously reappear?
I think basically because the young assistant district attorney, Bobby DeLauder, was convinced that he had a solid case. It's about the age of my eldest child, a native Mississippian, but as he became more involved in this case, he too became obsessed with it, and it appeared.
Did you have anything to do with this HBO special called Southern Justice, The Murder of Medgar Evers?
I did, in the sense that I was interviewed by the producer, a 1-hour interview that ended up being 5 hours, and that interview led to using excerpts of that interview for the production. I'm very pleased that HBO has committed to airing this. It's a very important document.
Because?
Because there are people, your audience and other audiences, who were too young to know Medgar Evers, who were too young to know of the struggles that we went through. Some young people that I speak to say, you mean to tell me you really could not try on shoes, you really could not go to the library? You know, I mean, just very simple things to them that were so important then, and especially registering and voting. And that it's so important for them to have that background, and important for those of us who were a part of that time to really look seriously at where we are today and rededicate ourselves, as Medgar did, to bringing this country along, dragging, screaming, or willingly, at a point where all of us can do whatever we can do based on our abilities.
Roll tape. Here's a clip from Southern Justice, The Murder of Medgar Evers. Airs July 11th on HBO. Here it is.
Any race, color,